Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. So BDS Malaysia is a civil society organization aligned with the global boycott, divestment, sanctions BDS movement. It's a Palestinian-led non-violent campaign aiming to pressure Israel to comply with international law by compelling it to end its occupation, dismantle the separation barrier, ensure equality for Arab Palestinian citizens, and upholding the right to return for refugees. My guest today is the current chairperson of BDS Malaysia. His leadership is characterized by his strategic activism and public engagement. Please welcome Professor Dr. Mohd Nazari Ismail. Professor, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Vinod, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So, Prof, let's get straight into it. Do you believe that economic isolation can genuinely shift Israeli policy, considering its relationships with the US and all?
Okay. Firstly, we have an episode in history where economic isolation worked.
Okay.
Changed an apartheid regime in South Africa. When, as you know, South Africa practiced apartheid policies towards the blacks from 1948, but it ended in 1994. And what was the main factor? It was isolated by the international community. They were not allowed to even participate in the Olympics. They were not allowed to participate. I think that broke their spirit, in addition to economic boycotts. Banks and commercial companies, Xerox, withdrew from South Africa because of their policies to the blacks. And in the end, they knew that the state wasn't viable anymore. When the international community decided to boycott them, they knew that they couldn't function as a country, as a state, and they gave up. Apartheid was dismantled in 1994. Nelson Mandela became president. And that proves that when the world isolates a country because of its unjust policies, it can work.
But did that also happen because that was sort of at the tail end of the colonial period? And that sort of helped the end of apartheid, not entirely the economic isolation.
Yeah, there were other policies. Of course, there are some differences. For example, you have South Africans themselves were solidly behind the ANC. Whereas in the case of Palestine, we have a problem. Palestinian Authority, which is kind of like a subcontractor to the Israeli regime. So there are differences. However, you cannot deny when a country is isolated, can everybody withdraw the investment, they cannot export, nobody wants to buy stuff from them. What are they going to do? They can't provide jobs to their people. Even their own people will find it difficult to live in that country. Even now, actually, there are reports of Israelis now leaving Israel, emigrating to other countries. So actually, I'm not so worried about what's going to happen to Israel in terms of what's going to happen. I'm sure its country is not going to be viable in the future because of the trend. It's just a matter of time. It's just that we want it to happen sooner rather than later because so many people are being killed.
Okay.
It's inevitable because now everybody knows what's happening in Palestine, what they are doing to the Palestinians. The one company after another, the latest report being the Norwegian Sovereign Fund, withdrawing even their investment in Caterpillar, which provides bulldozers to Israeli military. So that shows that everybody is disgusted with what's happening in Palestine. And therefore, it's just inevitable.
Okay. Now, let's come back to Malaysia for a bit because I do see what you're saying. But BDS Malaysia has emphasized selective and high-impact boycotts rather than broad campaigns. For instance, you guys cited companies like McDonald's, Puma, Hewlett-Packard, and Caterpillar, as you just mentioned. But where does BDS Malaysia stand when 50 Starbucks outlets, which approximately is about 12% of its presence here in Malaysia, were temporarily closed down amid pro-Palestine boycotts and resulting in many Malay Muslims to lose their jobs? Doesn't their livelihoods rank higher than what's happening there?
Okay, a couple of things to discuss.
Sure, please.
Number one, when a company is complicit with the brutalities and injustice and the killings in Palestine, that company does not deserve to do business with people. Caterpillar, I mentioned just now. You are providing bulldozers which are being used by the Israeli military. So now, if you are boycotted because of what you are doing and you lose jobs, whose fault is that? It's your fault. Because you decided to be on the wrong side of history. You decided to help Israel commit injustice and brutalities and genocide against the Palestinian people. And if people decide not to buy your product and your business goes down, people suffer, that is the fault of the management. Don't blame the people for not buying your products. So if they lose jobs, the blame should be on management of the company.
But it was the boycott that actually instigated the closures.
Yeah. So in the case of Caterpillar, as I said just now, if people lose jobs in Caterpillar, so you shouldn't be upset at people who campaign against your company, because what you are doing is unjust in the first place now. So let's go back to the other companies now. Some companies are not complicit, but they are targeted. So we don't carry out any campaign against Starbucks. And by the way, it's not on our list.
Yeah.
But people decide to boycott Starbucks because of the image. The ex-chairman of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, was a strong supporter of the Israeli regime. It's stuck in their mind. And then what happened was they took actions against their workers who were protesting against what's happening in Palestine. And so the image is very bad, their image. We didn't campaign against Starbucks, as I said just now. It's not on our list.
No, I understand, but I'm asking you, where does BDS Malaysia stand in that? Because local Malays are losing their jobs. I mean, that's not fair to them.
So now the management, we didn't campaign, but people decide to boycott them. So the management of the company, if, for example, it's very easy to redress the situation. All they need to do is condemn Israel. Explicitly say that Israel is committing genocides against the Palestinians. People should boycott Israel. If they issue statements to condemn, people will know on which side they are on. But the problem is that they are not saying that. Because they are not saying that, so Malaysians decide to boycott them, because Malaysians have this perception that they are supporting
But
Israel.
now, for example, companies like Starbucks have started to create funds, charitable funds, donations to the cause. So should the boycott end now?
America also provide funds for the Palestinians. They spend more money to help the Palestinians. But at the same time, they provide
Weapons
to Israel.
But
So
come on,
giving money.
That's not Starbucks.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
So Starbucks management is not able to create management or marketing strategy that place them in line with the consumers' values.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
that's their fault. There's actually marketing failure. You have to strategize such that your image is in line with the consumers. Then the consumer will come back to you.
Okay.
So the fault is their management's failure to craft a strategy that is in line with the values of the consumers. That's how I say it.
We'll come back to this in a bit, but I want to address a press release that was released by you. You said that Malaysia has to rise above rhetoric and be consistent in its support for the Palestinian cause, lest it too would be accused of hypocrisy, a charge that Malaysia itself has often leveled at the Western governments. Fantastic. Now, but considering that, Prof, Malaysia has just recently added another 100 million contributions to Palestine. We have promised to build a school, hospital, and all that, and a mosque. Hasn't Malaysia gone above just rhetoric?
The problem now is people are being killed. In Palestine now, genocide is happening. They are killing people at hospitals, right? Yesterday or 2 days ago, they bombed the
market,
hospital, Nasser hospital.
Yeah.
They call it double tap, meaning they bomb it, and then when people were going to rescue the injured and the people who are killed, they bomb again.
Yeah.
Killing the rescuers and the ambulance workers, etc., etc. Double tap. This is what Israel is doing. So what is happening is people are being killed. People are being starved. So you should address that. If you provide, actually they say they want to spend money on these Palestinians. I'm not sure how the food is going to go, how that money is going to food, because Israel is controlling the border, so food is not being allowed to go in. So when you announce this money, but you are not addressing that the food is not being allowed to go in, people are being killed, you are ignoring the reality. You are doing something, it appears to be doing something, but not addressing the real issue. People, let's say, let's say you are punching me.
Okay.
You are killing me in the studio.
I'm not.
Let us say. And then somebody announced outside there that they are going to provide some money to pay for my injury.
Okay.
If I go to hospital afterward.
Okay.
I am being strangled by you,
Okay.
but they're not doing anything about it. That is what is happening. It's not really addressing what is really happening on the ground.
Okay. But you also wrote in that same press statement, you said it is still not too late for the Prime Minister to send a message to Trump that because of the ongoing genocide in Gaza, in which the US is very much involved, he is not welcome to visit Malaysia. Now, Prof, considering that the US accounts for 11% of our total trade, isn't this antagonizing Trump too much at the expense of our economy?
Okay, this is where I want to call on the Malaysian public to get their priorities right. Now, human rights is very important. If people are being killed and you are talking about money, that shows where your priority is. Let us say here in Malaysia, people at foreign another power, I'm not sure, I'm not going to share any country. Let us say another country come and invade us and then steal our land, kill us all, right? And basically try to get us out of Malaysia. So we are being subjugated in a very terrible, extreme way. And then we are appealing for help for other countries to come and help us. And then they say, oh, we have to consider the economic implication because we are trading with Malaysia. We're trading with that particular country, they say, right? So you are basically thinking more about money, economic cost, rather than these people, us being killed, being exterminated. That is a very bad value. And we are talking about genocide. Everybody's saying that what's happening in Palestine now is genocide.
But this, firstly, I would say that it's not we are putting money above. I mean, it's the livelihoods of Malaysians that will be affected. If we lose such a big trade partner, or we have tariffs that are too high, affect the income of our country, which is already now, our trade surplus is sort of going down in the past 5 years. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I think, shouldn't we cater to first our people? Our people should have enough food. Then we can fight other wars.
Well, we are not having starvation here, right? We are talking about having enough food. We are not having a starvation situation in this country at the moment.
Okay.
So trying to help Palestinians, probably suffering some possible economic costs. It doesn't mean that people are going to die of starvation in this country. So that to say that we shouldn't do anything because we are suffering here, but that's not the situation now. Malaysia not suffering, so we can help. We can do something about it. Okay, that's number one. Number two, actually, why are we so scared of Trump's policy against Malaysia and some other countries? Actually, the policy is going to hurt American consumers. When Trump announced these high tariffs, we study economics. So what's happened? American consumers are the ones who are going to lose most because all the prices of products that have been exported to America are going to go up. So when this policy is going to hurt Americans more, and there's going to be inflation over there in America. And Trump was elected in order to make things better economically for Americans. My reading is that if you say, okay, you want to put tariffs up there and you want to have a reasonable negotiation. Actually, before this, negotiations were done at the WTO, World Trade Organizations. Trump suddenly ignored WTO completely. He doesn't care. So the WTO Director General now is basically looking around. He's not relevant anymore.
Which the US can do sometimes. Yeah, they have done this before.
Really funny. He completely ignores the multilateral negotiation process. He said, okay, I will go my way and then do this. But the American economy are all saying, you are going to destroy American economy, right? What he's doing is going to destroy American economy. So if we hang on tight, we may suffer also, but he will suffer more. Americans will be very angry at him because they're going to lose jobs. He wants to bring investments back to America. All these plants, electronic companies.
He wants to bring jobs back now.
Yeah, but everybody knows these are not viable. Some of the companies announced they want to go back, but they are more political rather than strategic economic decision because they know that these factories are not viable. If you bring them back to America, they don't have the skills and they don't have the cost-benefit advantage. It's going to cost more to produce this stuff in America.
Yeah.
So in other words, this policy is going to hurt American consumers, American workers as well in the future, and American companies are going to suffer. So if we are brave enough, we say, okay.
Is this Trump's way of reinstating the power or reminding us of the power that the US is? I mean, in the past 10, 20 years, we've seen the rise of many super economies like China and all that sort of threatened their position, from the 90s that we thought US was the be-all and end-all. Is this his way of saying, hey, guys, I'm still here?
I think when he was running for president, he manipulated the issue and managed to convince many simple-minded Americans to elect him by saying that you elect me, I will bring back the jobs.
Yeah.
So and then I will make sure that the economy was going to boom back again. Simple-minded Americans thought that that's what he could do that. They should understand. Now, the problem in America is not because the wrong president. It's actually because of the system. Yeah. It's more complex, very, very long story, right? Over so many years, what happened is that the financial system has created a situation where costs keep going up and up. just like what's happening in Malaysia as well. You cannot redress in just a few years. You have to change many things. Many simple-minded Americans thought that Trump can do it because they think that he was a very successful businessman. He was not really a successful businessman, as we know. Anyway, simple-minded people elected him and thinking that he can bring back jobs. So when he became president, he then immediately started doing stuff in order to fulfill his promises. Yeah, I'm not sure whether he really understands the economy or not. But when he started doing that, then people started telling him, this is going to hurt many American firms. When you say that, for example, when he imposed tariffs on China, there were many American firms operating in China that exports back to America. They told him, this is going to hurt these companies. And then I think he adjusted his policy. Right? He suspended for 2 months, etc. Right?
Negotiation.
So he knows that actually, so a lot of what he says is actually more theatrical. He said, I become president, the genocide or the killings in Gaza better stop. All right? And then it stopped. But now, stop for a short while and then continue again until now. So a lot of it is theatrics.
But the same could be said to you, right, Prof? I mean, when you asking for Trump for us to not welcome him in Malaysia, isn't that just another theatrical attempt? Because we have asked for the expulsion of Israel from the UN. As a country, we've been very vocal, very consistent. But so why deny him? What would that achieve?
To send a message to him. We want to send a message to him that you are the chief enabler of the genocide in Gaza now. Without American support, Israel cannot continue to kill people in Palestine now. The reason why Israel can continue to do these horrible things in Palestine is because of the solid support by the US government. And Trump is in charge of the US government now. So he is 100% responsible now. He is 100% responsible. He cannot say, no, this is not what I'm doing. Because American firms are providing weapons to the Israelis. So if we say to him, no, we don't want you here. Why? Because you are actually 100% responsible for what's happening in Gaza. We want to give him that message. If we say, okay, come and smiley, then he will not feel guilty. He will not realize what he is actually doing now.
But I'm just concerned that your call for us to deny him entry just to make a statement comes at the cost of our own well-being as a nation.
I see just now, we don't have an economic crisis at the moment. All right? So to say that when we do this, we are going to really suffer. No, because we have other markets. There may be some slight hiccups because exports to America will slow down, but there are other markets. We can adjust. There are bigger markets. Even some countries are saying that now. Canada leader is saying now, no, but we shouldn't be relying on America now. We should go for other markets.
Definitely, I agree with that.
So many people are saying that now, right? So American economy is also going down. We cannot be too reliant on America anyway. So to address your question just now, I mentioned again, in the struggle for justice, there are prices to be paid. You have to pay a price. Anwar Ibrahim himself keeps saying that, right? If you want to fight for justice, be prepared to suffer, right? And he went to jail. He said, I went to jail because of what I did. So, in other words, when you are trying to do things to redress grievances, to fight for justice, there may be some price to be paid. You have to be prepared for that.
Now, earlier on, you talked about how the relationship between the US and Israel is the main reason why this conflict is happening and they can continue doing what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So this relationship has been there from 77 years since President Truman. Fun fact for you guys, Israel has been the largest cumulative recipient of US foreign aid since World War II, over 150 billion US dollars, and mostly in the form of military assistance. US is the first country to recognize Israel, in fact, just 11 minutes after Israel declared independence. I don't know how they were so fast back then. But anyway, if we deny Trump entry into Malaysia, how would this impact that relationship that has been going on for 77 years and seems like a foundational relationship? It's not Trump alone. This is a legacy that he inherited.
Actually, if we look at the recent development in American politics, you will see that it's just a matter of time America would change its policy anyway, because the American public are now aware of what's happening. All this while, the media has not exposed the extent of America's involvement, also sacrifice, right?
Even Israelis are not happy. They have recently protested.
But Americans, you look at what happened in the election for the Democratic candidate for the position of mayor for New York, Zohran Mamdani won. And his campaign, he was very explicit in his condemnation of Israel. He said, if Netanyahu comes to New York, we will arrest him. He said, right, if I'm the mayor. He said, I'm pro-Palestine, I'm pro-BDS also. He mentioned pro-BDS as well. And he won. Meaning that the American public now, if you want to be popular now, you better be critical of Israel. That seems to be the picture now. When you say the foundation, the relationship between Israel and America is so
Entrenched,
strong,
basically.
entrenched. No, this now being challenged.
Okay.
And challenged in a very
Public manner?
a public manner, and people now realize, for example, that guy Cuomo, who was contesting one of the candidates of the Democratic Party, now he changed his tune now. He said now, no, Israel is going too far.
Yeah, they've
He
gone too
realized that,
Yeah.
but he has to say that in order to have a chance to get some votes for the election. If you are seen to be completely behind Israel, you are doomed as a politician now in America. Just a matter of time. Americans are saying now, we are losing, we are suffering, our infrastructure is going down, bridges are falling, roads are not being repaired, hospitals don't have money, and then you give billions to Israel. And for them to have built settlements on Palestinian lands with swimming pools. They saw the picture, right? These people are not really working. They are just staying there in order to take away Palestinian land, and they built settlements, nice bungalows with swimming pools, water all over the place. And then we in America are suffering, and the money comes from where? From us, they say.
Yeah.
So they are very angry now. You cannot hide this thing. It's coming out in the social media, and now the media now is saying that if we don't show this, people are going to boycott our show. So they decided they have to expose this as well. So now, I think it's just a matter of time, as mentioned just now. Yeah.
One point that you did bring up in our earlier discussion was, do you think that the high tariffs that Malaysians have faced is because of our pro-Palestinian stance?
No. Yes, India got 50% tariff.
Yes.
And India has been supplying weapons to Israel as well.
Yeah.
And then now Modi is now very upset. Now he wants to go to China now. He was sucking up to Trump, and suddenly he found out Trump doesn't give a damn. 50% tariffs. All right, ours is 90% now, reduced from 25 to 19.
Yeah.
India is 50%.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Even though he was sucking up to Trump. So
Too bad.
Too bad. So
that means the pro-Palestinian stance you feel does not have any bearing
no,
on
not
the
really.
tariffs.
Not really. He imposed tariffs on even Israel itself. There's a tariff on Israel itself.
Yes.
And Netanyahu came and thought that, special relationship, we are not going to have tariffs. Trump is going to cancel it. No, Trump didn't cancel the tariffs on Israel.
Why do you think he's coming to visit us now?
I think, well, number one, I'm not sure whether he's coming or not, because he has got many problems, right, to solve over in America. But he accepted that. Sometimes it's just theatrics again. He goes to a meeting and then he makes all these announcements, and then he said that I managed to change things in Southeast Asia or something like that. He just want to go there and make noise and they appear. He saw theatrics again. I think he want to come here and then goes on the television and just go, I've told these Asian leaders, ASEAN leaders, that they have to respect America. I think that's what he's going to.
I see.
Personal benefit. He doesn't really care about the free world. He's more thinking about we America, make America great again. We are a great nation, and they all come and listen to me because I'm an American leader. So he's playing that kind of tune.
Don't you think that his visit will benefit us anyway in terms of economics or our stock market or anything?
I mentioned just now, right? When he goes to certain places, it doesn't mean he want to change his policy. He's very unpredictable, right? He went and hugged Modi, shook his hand, and then 50% tariffs. So that's not going to mean anything. Coming over here doesn't mean that he's going to be very sympathetic to us. He went to Europe, and then suddenly he imposed tariffs on Europe as well. Right? So it has no bearing whatsoever.
Okay. One of the things recently, of course, that's very difficult to watch in the news is, of course, the case of the starvations that are happening in Gaza. I think the UN has already declared it a famine. But why do you think Donald Trump has not spoken out about the famine, despite him disagreeing with Netanyahu, saying that there is starvation? Why hasn't he spoken out about it?
Yeah, I think this shows the level of influence that the IPAC, the Zionist lobby in Washington, how strong they are. I think there's something going on there. That part of it is really puzzling, why Trump is so scared to go against Israel explicitly. For some reason. For some reason, he's so scared. People are coming up with all kind of conspiracy theories, especially the Epstein files, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was very close to Epstein, and then Epstein was charged for crimes against pedophile activities, and then he took people to his island, and something is happening over there. And Trump happened to be one of the visited close friends. So there are some stories going on, but it's not proven.
But then why hasn't he commented?
That's the reason. That obviously he seems to be very scared of the Zionist lobby for some reason. I do not know why. All right, even though even the right-wing section of the Republican Party, the Marjorie Green, she is very vocal against Israel. She was a very strong supporter of Trump, and now she's very strong against Israel. So many people, Tucker Carlson, for example, right, and some other people there, they are very, very, very vocal. But for some reason, Trump is ignoring that. His supporters, support base. When he went for the election, presidential election, they were the one who campaigning for him, who were a very important factor for his victory. And now he's ignoring them completely. Meaning there is another force inside American politics which is very strong, which he is very wary of. He's not willing to go against that, which of course is Zionist lobby. I do not know how it operates. There's a book written by Professor Ilan Pape of Exeter University that explains how the lobby works. But it's a very thick book, which I've not been able to read. But I can understand it's all money, basically, right? If they can mobilize money to give money to the media and also to supporters to influence the political process. So this huge amount of money that they can mobilize, I think, is another factor that Trump is very worried about.
Another interesting stakeholder in all this is definitely the Arab world.
Yeah.
Right? What is your opinion of their response to this whole conflict?
Well, the Arab world is, you have to differentiate between Arab people and the Arab leaders.
Okay.
Some countries, many Arab countries are led by despotic leaders. They are not democratically elected also. My impression is that they are more concerned about staying in power rather than trying to do the right thing. It's just they have to do things in order to make them remain in power. My impression is that they have this impression that to remain in power, they have to please the Americans. So with the American leadership strongly behind Israel, so if you want to be on the good side of American leadership, you also have to be not too antagonistic towards Israel. So that seems to be the mantra that they are holding on to. In other words, America will make sure you remain in power as long as you behind the American policy. So that's why they are in line with the American policy, two-state solution, etc., etc. Not to go against the American basic policy.
Because some of them have said that they are not going to partake because they have their own issues. So criticism of the Arab world initially was that their response was pretty lukewarm to this whole conflict. A lot of them decided to stay out of it, not really partake. There was mixed messages and all that.
Yeah, as I said, they are torn between the American leadership and their own people. Their own people are very angry. Their own people say, we cannot allow our brothers and sisters to be killed and blown up to pieces over there in Gaza. The Arab public, the Arab streets, is very, very angry. And they are scared of the Arab street as well. These people can create another revolution again in these countries. But at the same time, they are also wary that if they don't have American support, for example, Egypt, as an example, received a lot of money from the American government in terms of economic aid, military aid.
Yeah.
If the American government withdraw the financial aid to Egyptian government, then they will be forced to cut subsidies, food subsidies. Now, if you withdraw food subsidies, price will go up, inflation will go up, and people, when they are hungry, they get very angry. So it happened in many countries. So they are scared of that as well. So they are in a very difficult situation. That's why Egyptian president was pleading to the American president, do something, please. Because he knows that if the genocide continues, the Egyptian public, the Arab masses may rise up and explode and bring them down. So to answer your question again, why the ordinary Arabs? The ordinary Arabs are completely against the genocide. But why are the Arab leaders behaving like this? It's because they are in between trying to please both parties. At the moment, they need the money, the support. That's in the case of Egypt and Jordan. In the case of UAE, that's a different story though, because they have money.
They have money.
I think what they are scared of is the spirit of justice and democracy. Because Hamas actually instigated democratic process in Palestine. So if you allow the democratic process to prosper in the Arab world, then it threatens the position of many.
That's
they don't like that.
That won't be convenient. Now, I think we spoke about this, the 100 million pledge, but the Palestinian ambassador to Malaysia, Walid Abu Ali, has welcomed it. He said it's fantastic pledge to rebuild Gaza, but he warned that no reconstruction is possible without an unconditional ceasefire. So I ask you, Prof, in your opinion, what would it take to reach an unconditional ceasefire? Is that even possible?
It's possible if all the countries decide to impose sanctions. In the case of Malaysia, I've been calling the Malaysian government to suspend contracts with companies that are complicit. Now,
how do you define complicit?
Best example is Caterpillar, providing bulldozers to the Israeli military. You have Amazon Web Services that provide, they call it the Nimbus project, database for the Israeli military of all the Palestinian, their faces, everything, right? So they will know who to kill and who are, they don't care actually, they will kill. But all the information support for the Israeli military is actually assisted by companies like Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, HP, all these companies. And they are all mentioned in the report by Francesca Albanese in her recent report, The Economy of Genocide, is the title of the report. No, these companies are already explicitly mentioned. Malaysia should say to these companies, we are disturbed by your complicity. You are actually helping Israel to commit genocide in Gaza. So we are going to have to review our contract with you. So we put pressure on these companies, right? Then the companies will know that we have to do something. They have been shouting about ESG, about being socially responsible, right? About being humanitarian, etc., etc. No, you are assisting genocide. So you just tell them, honor your pledge, respect human rights, and don't get involved or don't support the genocide that's happening in Gaza now. If we put pressure on these companies, the company will have to withdraw, don't support, will not supply weapons to Israel, then Israel cannot continue with the genocide. So everybody has got to do something.
Now, just to quote the report that Prof just mentioned, the economy of genocide, there was a very nice, I think there was also mentioned in your statement as well from BDS. It says, Israel's forever occupation has become the ideal testing ground for arms manufacturers and big tech, providing significant supply and demand, little oversight and zero accountability, while investors and private and public institutions profit freely. Companies are no longer merely implicated in occupation, they may be embedded in an economy of genocide. Now, I want to touch on the UN Security Council as well. They recently demanded an end to the Gaza famine. But in your opinion, has the UN Security Council done enough with regards to this conflict?
Security Council is
US and Israel.
Yes, right. So they are not doing anything at all.
So is it all just a lip service then?
No, lip service. In the case of the Security Council, they are ignoring. They are with the US right at the center of it. They are actually allowing genocide to take place. The Security Council is the enabler of genocide because of American veto power.
Yeah.
And so we cannot rely on the United Nations mechanism in order to solve the problem in Gaza. We cannot say leave it to United Nations. No, we have to do something more. For one thing, the United Nations General Assembly is going to start soon in September. They have to do something. For example, they should call the members to suspend Israeli membership of the United Nations General Assembly. That's a very important step, which UN can do. But if you expect the United Nations to go and send a force, that's not going to happen, right?
Why not?
Because the veto power of the
US. Yeah.
They will say, no, we are not going to do that. So the countries cannot rely on that. We cannot rely on that. So we have to do more. And BDS talks about the peaceful means, boycotts, sanctions against Israel. Countries, for example, Singapore, Thailand, they should suspend diplomatic relations with Israel now because of the genocide. Everybody knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Why are you still maintaining trade and diplomatic relations with a country that is exterminating Palestinians? I don't understand. Where is their humanity? These countries, Singapore, Thailand, all these countries that continue to maintain diplomatic relations with Israel. I don't understand what is going on in their mind.
Before I go on to the next question, Prof, is BDS's commitment on the lines of religion or is it humanity?
BDS is an international organization, Palestinian-led, supported by the civil society in Palestine, which is comprised of nationalists, Christians, Muslims, socialists. So nothing to do with religion. It's all about human rights. Now it's all over the world. We have BDS Australia, we have BDS Japan, BDS Korea. BDS Korea, 100% non-Muslims. Right? So BDS New Zealand, 100% non-Muslim. Nothing to do with religion behind. It's all about human rights. It so happened in Malaysia, I'm a chairman because I happen to be a Muslim, but it doesn't mean that BDS is actually espousing religious...
I asked that question because I think this whole conflict has oftentimes been framed in that manner, that tone. So now it's, when you're saying all this, it breaks away that tone and people, it's everyone.
People should know by now because we have protests in Malaysia and we can see a lot of Malay Muslims participate in the protests in Malaysia. But if you look at the protests in London and recently in Australia, hundreds of thousands, right? 90% were non-Muslims. In Australia, recently, more than 500,000. Almost, I would say 90% are non-Muslim. In America, you have protests in Washington, 99% non-Muslims. right? So this is nothing to do with religion anymore.
Okay, fantastic. Now, BDS, in another statement on your website, has called upon the Malaysian government to continue to urge more countries to join the Hague Group's joint Bogota Declaration on Palestine, which was issued on July the 16th. Now, for those of you all watching who may not know this, the Hague Group, HAGUE, is a coalition formed on the 31st of January of this year, originating from 9 global South countries, including Malaysia, South Africa, Colombia, Bolivia, Namibia, Cuba, Honduras, Senegal, and others. Its mission is to uphold international law, particularly rulings from the International Court of Justice, ICJ, and the International Criminal Court, ICC, as they relate to the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Can the Hague Group, Prof, have any significance if there are no major Arab nations part of them?
Yeah, at the moment, unfortunately, the Arab nations are not willing to join. Indonesia is also not willing to join. So we call so that's why we say Malaysia should invite all these countries to support this based on human rights, humanitarian reason, arms embargo. This is actually what the Hague Group is calling for. And when you talk about arms embargo, not making sure no arms are being sent to Israel to commit genocide. And that's why we call the Hague Group, Malaysia is part of that, to also do its part, because weapons supplier to Israel should also be sanctioned. Meaning we should say to these weapon suppliers like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, British Aerospace, which are doing business in Malaysia, if you are calling for arms embargo, we should also be telling these companies, you should stop supplying weapons to Israel. And this is what we are calling on the Malaysian government to do what they are saying, right? To take action based on what they are saying. In addition to that, to answer your questions, yes, we need more Arab countries, more countries around the world to be part of the Hague Group.
Yeah.
Right.
I asked that question because in March of this year, as we all know, Israel did not respect a ceasefire agreement between them and Palestine. And to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, but based on what I've seen online, there was no documented response from the Hague Group about this sort of not respecting of the ceasefire. In fact, out of the 8 countries, only South Africa, Colombia, and Malaysia made statements. So should we even consider them as a committed fighter to the cause?
We don't want to give up on the Hague Group, because if we can get more countries to join, then the voice will be stronger. So we cannot dismiss it. We have to encourage more countries to join and be louder and to be more willing. For example, as I said just now, we should tell these countries, ASEAN meeting coming up, why are you still continuing to have diplomatic and trade relations with Israel? So this is where, and why don't you join the Hague Group? Because we are talking about the things that need to be said, which is stop the genocide in Palestine. So I think we shouldn't give up on the Hague Group. We should be louder, and we should do more to fulfill what we say.
Why do you think countries like Indonesia, as you mentioned, don't want to join the Hague Group or are thinking twice?
I see very puzzling. It seems that Indonesian leaders, current leaders, seem to be trying to please Trump. This is my impression. Prabowo. He seems to be trying to please Trump for probably economic reasons, because Indonesia is actually at the moment facing some economic challenges. There are a lot of economic problems going on, inflation, people losing jobs. So I think he is hoping that, number one, investment will come in, and then also they can export to America. So he is very careful about that. And I think that's the reason why Indonesia don't want to join the Hague Group, because they don't want to be too loud. Actually, there are other disturbing things that's happening in the case of Indonesia. They are trying to welcome Palestinians who are injured to come to an island. They want to place them on an island to be treated. But this is what Israel is trying to do, to get people out, Palestinians out of Gaza, to go up somewhere else, and then not allow them to come back.
Yeah.
So if this is what Indonesia is doing, that is actually surreptitiously working with Israel to get Palestinians out of the Gaza. By right, what they should do is to pressure Israel to stop killing, not to take injured people out and then that's it, not do anything about it. This is very, very worrying and very sad. You are talking about treating people. Okay, that's a good thing. But what about the killings? What are you doing to stop the killings? Indonesia is not willing to join the Hague Group. It's not taking any actions against the companies that are complicit. They need to do more, just like we need to do more as well.
Now, Trump says that he wants the war to end and the hostages to come home. But his envoy, Steve Witkoff, walked away from a ceasefire talk last month. And he blamed Hamas. And the president has exerted no public pressure on Israel to change course since it ended the ceasefire. Now, what is the U.S. endgame when it comes to this conflict? Or is there even an endgame in mind?
The current scenario seems to indicate that the Israeli lobby is controlling things in Washington. That is very obvious now. We want to see which is stronger now in America, the Zionist lobby or the American public. Because the American public are very angry. They are saying to the politicians who are kowtowing to the Zionist lobby, you are a traitor to the US. They are saying, you are traitors because you got money from the Zionist lobby. You are supporting policies that are detrimental to the United States. So now, the battle is between the American public against the Zionist lobby. So you are asking me why what's the American endgame? At the moment, the administration is following the Zionist lobby. So the endgame is to allow Israel to commit genocide and to exterminate and to get Palestinians out, to displace them completely, to take over Gaza. This is the current stance of the American government. That is why we have to do more. But at the same time, I'm also very optimistic the American public, because the waves of anger towards the genocide and towards Israel is getting stronger and stronger. I think things will change.
Okay.
Even though the current policy of the American administration is still 100% behind Israel, I think this is not going to be able to be sustained because of the American public's anger towards Israel.
But recently, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, he joined a White House meeting with Trump, right, to discuss plans for post-war Gaza. This was confirmed by the BBC. The envoy for the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, has said that US is putting together a very comprehensive plan on the next day after the war. What are your thoughts about the next day plans?
Yeah, they are hoping that they will be able to get rid of the Palestinians, right? And then last time, remember that Trump mentioned about the Riviera.
Yes, that was what,
Gaza, they want to build a resort over there. So this can only happen if the Palestinians are totally displaced or Palestinians completely lay down their arms. But I think that's not going to happen because the Palestinians are not giving up. This is the thing about the Palestinians. We have to admire them. They don't care. They are going to fight, right? Even until they were to the last drop of blood. That seems to be the case, and that is not going to be happening very soon. So they have this plan, but knowing how the spirit of among the Palestinians, that's not going to be so easy for them. This is my reading, and my hope is that the American public will rise up in order and will change the policy of the American government so that that plan will not be able to be implemented.
Now, on that note, I mean, Netanyahu said that the war could end tomorrow if Hamas releases the hostages and lay down its arms. But he also said that Israel will maintain open-ended security control over Gaza and facilitate the calls for voluntary immigration of much of Gaza's population. So exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So Palestinians have said that this could amount to forced expulsion, right? Yeah. And Hamas is willing to release the remaining 50 hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, a lasting ceasefire, and an Israeli withdrawal. What does BDS consider as a good agreement?
The BDS call is very clear. We don't have to talk about all these scenarios. We only focus on three things. Number one, Israel must end its occupation of Palestinian lands. Number two, Israel must allow equal rights for Palestinians who are living in Israel now. And number three, they must allow refugees to return to their homeland, which is all in line with international law, based on Resolution 194 passed by the United Nations in 1948, which says that all refugees have the right to return to their homeland. So we just say that's what we are calling. Implement what the United Nations has decided for so many years, and we focus on that. All these scenarios, what Israel is doing. No. I say we go back to the basic demands. The basic demand based on justice, based on human rights, and based on international law.
Do you think it is fair for Israel to ask for Hamas to put down their arms?
Well, you know what happens last time when Israel asked the PLO to lay down their arms, and then they say we will negotiate, and then you have land. You know what happened after that? They seize more lands in West Bank. There is no Hamas in West Bank, right? and PA say we are not going to fight you, no more arms conflict with you. And look what happened. They expanded this. They took more lands in the West Bank. That shows that not fighting is not the solution. If you stop fighting against people who want to grab your lands, they will allow them more chance and more opportunity to grab more lands from the Palestinians.
Because there's no sort of
proven.
protection there.
There's no resistance.
Yeah, resistance, yeah.
They must resist. If you don't resist, then they will just walk over you. And this is proven already, right? When they announced that we're going to have a 1994 Oslo Accord, and they said that, okay, we can negotiate for a Palestinian state. Last time, they said we can negotiate about Palestinian state. You know what happened? Rabin was the prime minister in charge.
Yeah.
He approved 600 million budget to build roads for the settlements, not for Palestinians, only for Israelis in the West Bank. So they show what the plan was. And now Netanyahu is saying, no way we're going to allow a Palestinian state. So that's so very obvious. We are not going to allow any Palestinian state. And then he is saying to the Hamas, lay down your arms. So that means that their plan is to take everything. And what is the offer? Counter offer to laying down their arms. Nothing to offer, because the announcement by Netanyahu and the Israeli government, the current cabinet, we are not going to allow. Forget about any notion of Palestinian state. So it's already well known what their intention is to take everything, right? And they even drew a map, which includes the Greater Israel, means part of Lebanon, parts of Jordan, even part of Egypt. That's their plan. There's the Greater Israel project, which the elements in the Netanyahu cabinet say this is our future long-term plan.
One thing that I think people on the outside of this will be wondering, the Israel-Palestinian conflict is the longest running conflict in human history. Why has it gone on for so long?
Okay, my answer is very simple. Because the Palestinians decided to resist. That's the main reason. Other places, you see settled colonialism project in Australia, they didn't resist. That is why you have the Western people in charge of Australia now.
Yeah.
They went to New Zealand. There was no resistance. That's how they took over. In America as well. But the difference in the case of Palestine is that the Palestinians are different bunch of people. They will not allow that to happen. They will resist. They have got certain values within themselves. Partly, I don't know, religion. I would say religion is a very important part of it, which says that you cannot allow people to come and just take over your country. That is against your religious values. So they decided to resist, and the resistance is the one that makes the conflict last so long. If they didn't resist, I think Palestinians would have disappeared a long time ago.
Okay. What is the next in BDS's plans? The big announcement maybe that you guys want to do, your next work or the next thing that you guys are going to do?
Our next project is a big protest on 6 September. We are calling all Malaysians to come and show your rejection of Trump's planned visit to Malaysia. We want to tell the Trump that you are not welcome. Don't come. The message is don't come, because you are the chief enabler of genocide in Gaza. So that is our next project.
All right. Well done. So, Prof, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I truly enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and love the work that you're doing, and we wish you all the best. And I think you are doing amazing work. You and BDS. I think I've seen the videos recently, and it has to stop. It's there's no humanity anymore. It's gone. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what they're doing.
Yeah.
So guys, that was Professor Dr. Mohd Nazari Ismail from BDS Malaysia. We'll be sharing the links to BDS Malaysia, to their website, to their social media, so you guys can get in touch with them as well and join them in many of the amazing activities that they're carrying out in protest of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the occupation of Gaza. So please show your support to them. Thank you so much again. And of course, big shout out to Dr. Muslim for connecting us. You always have a seat on this podcast. So see you all soon. Take care. Bye.